Can being a servant of God be profitable? If it's His will, then hell yeah. I'm Alex, and today we're looking at The Eyes of Tammy Faye, the rise and fall of famed televangelists, and how maybe power, money, and greed don't mix so well with Jesus. The movie is based around the 2000 documentary of the same name that follows Tammy Faye Baker, follows her from her childhood to meeting her husband Jim Baker, who also becomes a famed televangelist. They meet at Bible college, and then the creation, rise, and eventual downfall of their multi-million-dollar company that included the PTL Club, the PTL Satellite Network, and a Christian theme park, Heritage USA. Right out of the gate, the star of the show and the biggest reason to watch is going to be Jessica Chastain. She has some amazing makeup, easily Oscar-winning. It makes her completely unrecognizable. And this is possibly one of Jessica Chastain's best performances to date. She does an amazing job at capturing the emotional vulnerability of Tammy Faye and portraying someone who's incredibly passionate, incredibly driven, but also easily manipulated and possibly naive to the people around her. Chastain just does a phenomenal job. She creates this really fully well-rounded person. You really believe her when she's preaching and talking to other people that she truly just does want to love others. And it's not just in her super emotional moments, which there are very many in this movie. It's also in just the little details. One of my favorite parts, she literally drags a chair so that she can get a seat at the men's table because she has a lot of ideas and a lot of things she wants to do with their networks. She starts to eat a hot dog, which kind of really brilliantly implies that like what she just did was super normal and is like, I'm gonna keep it casual, I'm gonna eat this hot dog. But then she covers her mouth to eat the hot dog, which it's just like this tiny thing, but speaks volumes about the kind of people that run in these circles. And it seems insane, but also I've kind of recently stumbled on BYU TikTok where they talk about the absolutely insane sexual loopholes that they go through as students. Maybe just look up soaking. It's a time. Andrew Garfield plays Jim Baker, who's kind of this wannabe Mr. Rogers, and definitely uses Tammy Faye as a prop for his fraudulent ondoings. But I feel like the script is so focused as portraying Tammy Faye as this sort of beacon of light that it doesn't leave any room to really examine Jim Baker on anything more than a surface level. We kind of just see him in terms of what he does to Tammy, but I don't feel like we really get a decent look inside of somebody who clearly has a lot going on inside. Cherry Jones as Tammy Faye's repentant but beyond stern mother, and Vincent D'Onofrio as the repugnant Jerry Falwell also give amazing performances as people that the script would have you just believe are just two people and the countless sea of people that are just trying to dull Tammy Faye's sparkle. The movie is structured like a really classic biopic. It really reminds me in structure like Walk the Line and Ray, especially because all three of these movies have this sort of childhood inciting incident that really put their subject person on the path that they're going to and kind of follow their life over many years. But the tone in the beginning is a little less Walk the Line and a little more Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. It's honestly really difficult to discern if the writers are trying to kind of make fun of and parody these characters or if they're trying to like put on display how out of touch and convoluted this like televangelism environment is. Sort of like Nathan For You, or I think Succession does this really well. It steals a little bit of the sympathy away from the characters, and you feel a little less bad for them because they seem a little bit ridiculous. Although I have no doubt that some of these things absolutely did happen, and they are ridiculous. I think the first half of this film has a weird momentum. It's kind of moving forward, but it also feels very choppy. And I think, again, because it feels weirdly comedic, it doesn't have a great focus. It definitely has more of a focus in the second half. Pretty much all of the jokes die off because everything's horrible and falling apart. The movie doesn't cover some major events that happen later in her life. Like eventually she marries Roe Mesner, who is a character in the movie, who's played by Sam Jager, has a major role in creating Heritage USA, and also has a major role with the downfall of the PTL Club. And then 3 years into their marriage, he also goes to jail for fraud. So I'm not really sure why that was never touched upon in this movie, because it he's such a big person in her life, and it relates to what we cover for most of the movie. All in all, I'm gonna give this movie a yellow light. I think the subject matter is incredibly interesting. The cast as a whole really does give a phenomenal acting performance, and the costumes, makeup, and overall art direction and design are spot on and phenomenal. But I think the movie could have been paced a little more like a heist movie or a mob movie, kind of similar to Casino or Goodfellas, because after all, isn't a huge part of the story about how these people are fleecing millions out of people watching their shows? I'd also like to say I really did genuinely enjoy learning about Tammy Faye Baker, who is not really a person I knew of before this movie started coming out. And it was really beautiful to hear about how she had kind of these progressive shows where they talked about taboo subjects, especially her treatment of AIDS patients and talking about gay rights in a time where people who were on her level or on other networks just didn't really acknowledge gay people and definitely didn't acknowledge AIDS. I would highly recommend everybody look up. There's a clip from the second season of The Surreal Life, which she was on, and she gives this incredibly moving speech, and it kind of just goes to show that even after decades of hardship, and this has not been the thing that she's been doing for years, she is a very passionate, genuine person, and she has a gift for trying to inspire people. And honestly, what's more holy than that? Please remember to like and subscribe. We have a lot of great stuff coming out on this channel. For Halloween, we're doing a special return of the movie where we'll be covering the Halloween franchise. We're also currently doing a watch through of Attack on Titan. We have a lot of great videos coming out, so stay tuned for those. And until next time, I'm Alexandra. Bye.